This is Governor Larry Hogan, and I don't always have time to listen to podcasts, but I do enjoy listening to the Maryland Crabs podcast.
Live from a grungy kitchen table located in Annapolis, Maryland's scenic and historic capital, it's the Maryland Crabs podcast. With each episode, your hosts, Tim Hamilton, John Frenay, and the occasional guest will dive in and pick apart the stuff that really matters most to you. We're too lazy to actually solve any of these problems, but we can definitely stir the pot. From schools, politics, parking in the fire lane, to those horrible people who drive BMWs. And here with this week's episode, live from the kitchen table, Tim Hamilton and John Frenay.
It's the Maryland Crabs. Notice anything different about me? That's right. I'm not tweeting anymore. I'm off Twitter. I've gone cold turkey, my friends. Well, that's kind of a lie. I have not gone cold turkey. My brother and I had a long discussion. He lives up in Manhattan a few months ago, and he'd given up social media a year ago, and he said, not that he was that big into it anyway, but he just said, I had to give it up because it was just crap. I just didn't enjoy it. It just made me feel lousy, made me feel dirty, like I was eating junk food, and I had nothing to show for it at the end. I said, no, it's a valuable tool. I said, you get to keep up with your friends and relatives, and on Twitter, I follow all sorts of news and people I love. And he goes, yeah, but do you feel any better? I mean, is it actually bringing anything positive to your life? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And then I had to think about it. And the last few months, it has not brought positivity to my life. Facebook sucks anyway. And everyone, including you, are lying on Facebook. Your life is not that perfect. So stop lying. Twitter, on the other hand, I was a Twitter junkie, and I used it to follow politics and news and business trends and sports. And that's where I got all my information. And I followed a bunch of people who are comedians and funny comedic writers and all that sort of thing. And they were hilarious for years and years. And over the last year, for obvious reasons, everyone just got so bitter and angry all the time that I was just like, God, what nasty, bitter, ugly people. And you guys used to make me laugh. And then I looked at my own Twitter feed and I'm like, yeah, I suck too. So I gave it up. And I went to Twitter and I went to settings and I deleted my account. And it said, great. You can delete your account in 30 days. So everything's offline, but it's sitting back in the background like a fat pigeon that if I ever want it again in the next 10 days now, I can just reactivate it and I'm back on, which would suck for everybody, frankly. So I'm trying to be strong. But in the meantime, I do cheat, like I mentioned, is that I will use the Maryland Crabs Twitter account and then I will go to the trends, what's trending for the day. And that changes throughout the day for those of you who use Twitter. And it tells you all the biggest stories that are happening. But even when I do that, I find out that it makes me just as angry as if I have my own account. So I've got to figure that part out. So I've been trying to be better about that until I got a text a couple days from John. And yeah, texts from John often vex me, but this one was kind of funny actually. And he said, you've got to check out this Twitter account. And I said, well, John, you know I'm off Twitter. And he goes, yeah, okay. And so I said, okay, what is it? And he said, it's Jimmy's Famous Seafood in Baltimore. And I'd heard of them. They're an iconic seafood restaurant up in Baltimore. So I went to the account, and actually I knew that there was an issue with Peta because it was on Reddit the day before, and it was the big billboard that Peta put on trying to convince everybody in Baltimore to be vegans and to stop eating crabs. And sure enough, arguably one of the most iconic seafood restaurants in Baltimore decided to take on Peta on Twitter. And it was hilarious. And it was funny. They were scathing, they were irreverent, and it looked like a lot of fun for the social media manager to just be kind of let loose and kind of go after someone that they thought was attacking them. So it was kind of fun. But then actually it became a national story. And John said, well, we're right here. Why don't we call them up and see if they'll talk to us? And we called them up, and sure enough, they said they'd talk to us. So we zipped up today. And we met with John Minadakis, who is the president of Jimmy's Famous Seafood. And he's one of three brothers who are the owners and run the restaurant. And they have run the place since their father passed away, I think he said 15 years ago. And when they were 17, 19, and 20, and when they took over the restaurant. And he was a lot of fun, and he was a blast. And my favorite part of the interview was when John mentioned casually that he didn't eat seafood. And John Minadakis' eyes just kind of narrowed a little bit, and John didn't catch it. A lot of Johns in this story. But it was fun, and while we were there, it was wild to watch his phone just light up from the constant texts and emails that he was getting from all the media outlets around the country who wanted to talk to him while we were there. Fox News reached out to him because they wanted to talk to him. So he was very generous with us, gave us about 40 minutes of his time, and he's having a great time with us. It's definitely a restaurant that I'm going to go to in the future because I'd never been there before. It was right outside the Harbor Tunnel on the Baltimore side, and it was a phenomenal restaurant. It looked great. I'm going to go back without John because he doesn't eat seafood, as he mentioned. But it was a great time talking with John Minadakis about Jimmy's Famous Seafoods war with Peta, who is trying to turn us all vegan and give up our crabs.
When you're a community bank, you help your community however you can. Like being there for local business people, backing them up when they start up, advising them when they ask, standing by them so they can grow. Helping local businesses is one of the most important things we do at Severn Bank. I'm Alan Hyatt, chairman of the bank, but I'm also a proud supporter of businesses in Anne Arundel County. You know we never forget that here at the bank, we're a local business too. We face the same challenges and opportunities as any business, and we know how fortunate we are to have customers who stand beside us. That's why we stand beside you. If you have a business or you want to start a business, talk with us, because we're banking on you. Severn Bank, here with you.
Online at severnbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Severn Bank is a trade name used by Severn Savings Bank.
If you don't like huge draft beer selections, don't go to Union Jack's. If you're not looking for an incredible menu and dozens of screens to catch your favorite teams, I repeat, do not go to Union Jack's. Not into darts and pool? Good. Live music not your thing? Perfect. Bottom line, if you are not interested in the best dining and bar experience in Annapolis, avoid Union Jack's. But if this all sounds totally friggin' awesome to you, visit Union Jack's in Annapolis, just across from Whole Foods in the Annapolis Town Center. Union Jack's, not your old-style pub.
If you have not been following Jimmy's Famous Seafoods Twitter account over the last, let's say 2 weeks since Peta put up their horrible billboard in Baltimore, you've totally been missing something, and we wanted to bring a little bit of that here to you. We're here up at Jimmy's Famous Seafood on Holabird Avenue in Baltimore. Actually, we're kind of Dundalk with John Minadakis.
He's embarrassed.
This is exactly why I attended it.
You get 5 tries. It's okay.
With John Minadakis. Did I get that right?
That works, yes.
Okay. Who is the owner, the co-owner of Jimmy's Seafood. And I would have thought he might have been the face behind the snarky Twitter thing, but I'm learning that it's not quite the same thing.
No, it's team effort. No one person takes the credit for that one. It's got to be unanimous. It's got to keep the tone. Got to keep it lighthearted.
Oh, there's a tone, all right.
Yeah, it's a culmination, I guess, of a bunch of people. It's a team effort. We preach the team mentality here, not only in the trenches, so to speak, in the kitchen and on the floor, but also through our efforts in the community and obviously on social media as well.
Well, as you guys have been around for a long time, okay, this is, you've been around since 1974.
Yes, so 44 years.
Established by your father, who immigrated from Greece.
Yes.
And now run by you and your brother.
Yep. So it's a second generation family business, through and through, pretty much as old school as it gets.
Well, for those that aren't aware, it all started with Peta, and they put up a billboard down in Baltimore and said, "I'm me, not meat," with a picture of a Chesapeake blue, Maryland blue crab, and said, "See the individual, go vegan." You took opposition to that in a way.
By the way, I'd quit Twitter a couple weeks ago and I made a big deal about it. And this actually pulled me back kind of onto Twitter, just for you guys. But you're the only Twitter account that I follow.
That's funny because we've seen a lot of those tweets come across the timeline. I was off Twitter and I'm back now because of you, or I created my account.
It was the worst.
Just for you.
I went off Twitter because I'm like, I'd had it. I'd become obsessed. And I was like, just unhappy all the time.
It really is a toxic place.
It is a toxic place. It really is. And so John texts me, as he often does. And he's like, have you seen this latest outrage? And I put something on Facebook about the billboard I'd seen the night before. And it was you guys in a tone that I love, just attacking, and it was funny too. It was my kind of humor because it was unapologetic.
Yeah, well, our backs were against the wall. You got a multi-million-dollar company coming in with a blank checkbook, and they've got a pretty good track record of putting, numerous Americans out of business.
Well, you had something on there that I thought was good, is because I was laughing because it was funny and it was unapologetic, and I got rickrolled, all those sort of things. But then at one point, it was almost poignant where someone who was on Peta's side said something, and your Twitter account was pretty much came out and said, hey, look, we're coming out against a company that's putting people out of work, out of people's livelihoods, of state tradition, all those things. And it was an honest moment. And I thought about it going, they are. John said this before. I'm going to totally steal it from him. He said that's like coming to Chicago.
This is an iconic. I mean, you're Lou Malnati out of Chicago. You're Pat or Gino, whichever way you want to look at it, out of Philadelphia. Cafe du Monde.
And they come in guns blazing.
They do, and they've had, a lot of success recently, most recently with the Nabisco crackers. They caused the company to change their packaging.
Oh, yeah, animal
that's right.
Yeah, but, they've also, we've had people emailing us from all over the country who have been put out of work by them and just really supporting us and throwing their love behind us. Former SeaWorld employees, people that were in the Greyhound industry, you name it, they've reached out to us. The crab industry, I just felt, that's one that's really not quote unquote controversial at all. Crabs are harvested, as you know. It's
right. Well, they also tend to be in the vegetarian diet as well.
Yeah, exactly.
The vegetarian light.
We took such a hit this year locally in the crab industry with the crab picking plants.
Right. They couldn't get the visitor
visa. It's the HB2 visa.
I wasn't going to sit on the sidelines while we came under attack again. And
why was it you and not Phillips or Bricky's or Costas or any of the other restaurants that serve? Why do you think? Obviously you've got a little bit more balls.
Yeah, I've never heard of any of them, but I think people these days are just very scared. They're scared to offend.
Because
they're walking that politically correct line. Even when the big bad wolves come and knock on your door, you're still scared to fight back. And I'm very disappointed in them, whoever they are, for not sticking up for themselves and their employees and the families that depend on them for their income.
Well, it used to be that if you had a problem with a company of any kind, you wrote a letter to the president, and more often than not, it would hit the trash can or just go ignored. Then the internet back in the 90s, where people could set up the websites and call out Microsoft or whoever it was, and they couldn't be silenced. Now with social media, you can have someone with 10, 15 followers who can put out a tweet or put out a Facebook post, and all of a sudden it does go viral. And I think a lot of companies have their back to the wall because they're not sure how to handle that. And there are very few companies like yours, and this is why we're here, and this is why I like it, is because you're a company that didn't try to negotiate, didn't try to backpedal, didn't try to soften it. And you're just like, you know what, F you. This is what we serve. This is who we are, and we're not going to back down.
We don't cuss. We don't use that exact verbiage, but it's kind of implied sometimes. But yeah, it's we have that Spartan mentality here of never surrendering. We've had the vegans come after our Yelp pages and our Google Plus pages and leaving their 1-star reviews, which I guess is their modus operandi. But
it's standard.
I don't think they were coming in here anyways, so I'm not too worried about them. But I hate to harp on the fact too much. I just think that people are extremely frightened and scared of offending one person out of 100. In the meantime, it just causes them to crawl into their cubbyhole and not come out.
And this one tweet I actually kind of thought was hysterical. It was I can't remember what she went on and on, but actually said, they're attacking our industry, our livelihood, and our ability to provide for our families. And part of your Twitter thing is you went back and you looked at the person's account that tweeted to you, and she had on a fairy costume in her profile. And you're like, how'd you like it if a multi-million-dollar company waged an attack on grown women who still wear their 4th grade Halloween costumes?
I love that. It was so mean.
I tell the guys and the girl to say, it's always funny when you have an animal or a cartoon as your picture. You don't respond to them. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your breath. Don't waste your energy. And it goes back to what you were saying earlier about Twitter just being a toxic wasteland sometimes. People can be extremely anonymous on Twitter, and you never know. It could be one of your perceived best friends behind that account and just unleashing their inner jealousy and hatred for you without you knowing it. Which is why, they say old people like Facebook better. Me personally, I like Facebook the best because you can't hide. I know who you are. I know your name.
Right.
And if you have something to say to me, you're going to do it the old school way, face to face, through Facebook, obviously. But I know who you are. You know who I am. And let's get it out there. Let's figure this out.
And that's why I have a big problem with Yelp, frankly, is that Yelp's a bully. I'm not a fan of Yelp.
You ever see the South Park episode about Yelp?
No.
That's the best episode ever. These people just take themselves too seriously on Yelp. But
it's weaponized now, and Yelp knows that.
Yep. And they want you to pay.
Exactly. Yeah. I've dealt with Yelp on some businesses before, and it's extortion. It really is.
Word of mouth, I found, is still the number one form of advertising. Yelp, Google Plus, all that stuff that can go to the wayside. if you're going to depend on one of those websites, I definitely recommend using Open Table, because those are diners that came in to the establishment. They're not fake people. They're not bots from Russia. And and they're people that actually did have an experience with you. And, you'll find that a lot of 3-star, very popular places on Yelp turn out to be 5-star places on Open Table.
Well, there's a restaurant in Annapolis that is constantly responding and says, okay, our meal was horrible, our service was horrible, whatever it was. And their constant response is, that's not the service that we normally give.
And it is.
And it is. I mean, when everybody is saying that, it is the service that you give, and you need to look at it. But you're absolutely right. When you can qualify that it is somebody that is actually eaten here, you've got to put a lot more stake into that.
Plus, I've gone to these businesses, like you see the story, it starts on Facebook, then all of a sudden it creeps over to Twitter, and then the end result is Yelp, is how the social justice warrior mentality is. You're going to fight the battle there. So if you go and look at the Yelp reviews and it's like 4 and 5 star, and then all of a sudden for like 3 days it's straight 1-star reviews, that was a campaigin.
Yeah,
and I don't trust.
Well, you've taken a hit on some of your reviews, haven't you? I mean, I know. I didn't take a look at it, but I know a tweet you said, "Hey, keep the 2-star reviews."
Yeah, we had probably 60 1-star reviews on Yelp Friday, but we had our busiest Friday in years, so keep those reviews coming in, I guess.
Yeah. That's outstanding.
I had a friend of mine who was a comic in the 90s, and that's when the late 90s, when a lot of the boycotts were coming in from what some comics were saying. That was like maybe the tail end of Andrew Dice Clay, and this right before Sam Kinison died. And I had a couple of them they're just like, I just want to be boycotted or, have some sort of protest. That's the best.
At the time, it was good publicity for them.
It was fantastic.
And the comedy now is just so watered down because people are walking on eggshells.
Well, you're not going to go to colleges. I mean, that's. I know a lot of comics who won't touch colleges for that reason.
Yeah, and they want the phones at the door, and
they put them in the bags.
Can't blame them. That's an industry that's definitely taking a hurt with the recent culture shift.
Yeah, but there's very few people who are going to go ahead and take that on. The Me Too is a perfect example. Last week, Louis C.K. went back on stage after 9 months of being off stage, and it took a lot of flack on Twitter. That's where the war was fought.
Yeah, by a bunch of eggs and cartoons.
Yeah, exactly. I said that once. I'm like, I'm not arguing with an egg. Yeah. You have 3-4 followers. That's just
rule number 1. Don't talk to an egg.
No eggs. But there's very few people who are willing to kind of take on the critics right or wrong. And I think, first of all, you're an icon. So I think you right away, you're kind of starting at 50. Yeah. So you can go ahead and step up and say, you know what, we're not going to even talk about this or debate this. It's so ridiculous that we're going to make fun of it, because that's what it is. And that's John saying this when we were walking in, going, what was the purpose of the billboard? Because no one's going to be convinced of that. No one's going to look at that and all of a sudden go to vegan, which is a huge lifestyle change anyway.
They just wanted to, I think, well, first of all, as much as we laugh at it, they've had success with that sort of campaign in other places. I'll research them. So that's, where it was a little scary, but I also think they wanted to demonize the crab industry. So, a couple walking on the street all of a sudden might not go to the crab cake place. They might go to the pasta place instead that day, because subconsciously it creeped into their mind. So, we can laugh at it all we want, but these people have, as I said earlier, just a bottomless budget.
They do,
and they've done their research, and they know how to attack a person's mentality and psyche and to get them to turn vegan.
Well, it's a vulnerable industry too. I mean, certainly obviously there's a plethora of crabs and stuff that are available, but you look at what the watermen are going through here in the Chesapeake Bay. You look at, the costs that are going there. I mean, I know, I'm not a big seafood, actually I'm not any kind of a seafood eater, but you look at the cost of a bushel of crabs and what has gone. So, and if you get to a point where you're so far out of reach, and I say you, not so much you, but if you get the crab industry where all of a sudden you're paying, $30 for a crab cake sandwich, you're pretty much out of business. So it's vulnerable to a degree. And when you, exactly as you said, when you have somebody with multi-millions of dollars to come down on you, every little bit hurts.
Well, it's a small industry too. And it's with the ancillary industries, the crabbing industry, you're talking about watermen who go back generations. It depends on weather. It depends on nutrients, pollution, populations, and the prices raise and fall. And then downstream of that, so to speak, are the restaurants.
Yeah, and the price of crab meat has just increased steadily over the last few years, and the consumers don't always understand why the crab cake sandwich is going up $1 a year or $2 a year. But it's very, very, very difficult business to be in.
Fuel costs, it varies. The cost, even with the tariffs that are going down, that's going to affect the cost of the pots, the crab pots in the water.
And the competition is just vast out there. Because let's face it, every restaurant in Maryland's got some version of a crab cake.
Yeah, you
so
can't.
It's not like being a steakhouse or being a pizza place, because even the pizza places and steakhouses do have a crab cake. So, we're always in competition with other people. Who
yeah,
are
Lunas
just
in
hungry as
Annapolis
us.
has a damn good one.
Yeah, I mean,
steakhouse.
There's great crab cakes all over the place, and of course, everybody's got their opinion of what their favorite one is, and it's just a lot of competition, like I said, and to have Peta come in and just really try and put another crippling blow on our industry. That was when it was time to stand up and fight back.
Who do you think's winning?
I saw a comment today on one of the Barstool articles that said this is turning into a Mike Tyson fight from the 80s.
Where you get the pay-per-view and it's round one and someone's lying on the canvas.
We're doing the Conor McGregor, Jose Aldo treatment to Peta right now.
Now, did they reach out to you at all?
They did directly the first 2 times. And then yesterday they released a statement through WJZ, which is the top news station here locally. So I guess they're scared to come at us again because of the amount of eyes that are watching the Jimmy's Twitter page right now. They know what would happen if they put their toes in that water again.
How many followers do you pick up?
Gosh, I haven't
it's
looked.
amazing.
Yeah, I haven't looked.
You're over 70 right now.
70,000.
Through a.
It's crazy.
So I get that anger and that indignation, and when you get attacked, and it's not just you're representing a lot of people from the restaurant industry to the service industry to the watermen, to the company distributor.
Every 100-something employees that we have here, they depend on us to open that set of doors every single morning.
You have 107 employees?
We're over 100. But they all depend on us. We're not a seasonal place. These people depend on us year round.
So you're having fun
to feed
with
their
Twitter,
families.
But there's a lot that goes under the surface. That there's a lot of anger.
It might be funny on the surface, but below the surface, it's very serious business, man. It's everybody you're looking at right now. They're all depending on us to help them feed their families every day.
We have a notorious Facebook group in Annapolis. It's got like 10,000 followers, which is like a third of the city, and it's very active. And whenever someone gets what they perceive to be bad service, or they have a beef with a local business, they tend to light them up, and then everyone kind of either jumps on or defends them, and it's always this battle royale on there. And I've had some arguments with people going, you're talking about a mom and pop. You're talking about people who are barely eking by, and you're going to jump in and fan these flames, and before stepping back, no one's coming after you at your work or your job, yet you're putting these pressure on people for something that is absolutely minor.
It's an industry where you're constantly you're out there. There's nothing hidden, so people, they can attack you from a myriad of directions. And sadly, in our industry, if you go to a restaurant and all 10 things that you were looking for got checked off the list and it was perfect, you're just going to go home and put it on your list to go back to in 3 months. But if one little thing goes wrong, if your soda didn't get refilled on time, you're going to go all over, Facebook and Yelp and Twitter and blast it. And like you said, that's when the pack mentality sets in, and everybody who has an opinion wants to chime in. They don't even know the whole story, maybe. You never know what's going on. It's a very difficult industry. I equate it to a football team all the time, and it takes 53 people on the same page to get that win every Sunday. And you talk to any NFL player, they'll tell you how hard it is. Doesn't matter who you're playing that week to get a win. And it's hard here, whether it's a Monday morning or a Saturday night, to pull off what we pull off. And that's why I'm so proud. I'm so defensive of, my staff and our team.
I know one thing that you told me when we spoke on the phone. You said that your maitre d' was a little bit upset. It was going, I don't know whether this is...
It's a little old school. My brother as well.
This is going to work.
He's like, we sure we're doing this? So we got to, man. It's...
And the other night, you're like, see?
But you what, tripled?
Our followers, I think, went from 18,000 to 70. I guess it's at now.
But even that
but
night...
I mean, you're the dinner served.
I would not triple, but a lot. It's definitely an increase. We're up like 30%. For Labor Day weekend, which, traditionally in Baltimore is not a very busy weekend. Everybody goes down the beach, or they go on their last vacation, or they're getting ready to take the kids back to school, getting ready for football season next week. And, we just had hundreds of people coming in and just hugging us and just patting us on the back and, just fist bumping us, shaking our hands. And they just expressed, whether they were having a crab cake or just a soda or a beer, they were just here to support.
Absolutely. Well, it's all about supporting local businesses, though. And I don't care whether it's in Annapolis or here, but I mean, commerce, I've always believed really begins on Main Street. And whether that's Holabird Avenue is here or Main Street in Annapolis or wherever it is, it's the local small businesses that are employing 107 people, that are putting cash in pockets, that are respending it throughout the city. That's just so important, and not the multinational corporations, not the giant malls, not the Petas of the world to do that. And I think it's just incredible that you've taken a stand as you have. I love your new billboard that you put up, and that was right around the stadium. I haven't seen it, but I've seen pictures of it, and that's a direct another blow to Pedium. It says, steamed crabs here to stay, get famous, and it's obviously got your logo and a crab all covered up in Old Bay or J.O. What's this?
We actually make our own blend here. So
secret?
Neither of those. Yeah, you can buy it here, and you can buy it on our website, but that's our own blend. But to go back to what you were saying about everything beginning on Main Street, and in our case, Holabird Avenue, the restaurant business traditionally throughout American history has been the backbone of every community throughout the land, from here to Iowa to California to Hawaii. And I feel like we do just as good, if not a better job than any restaurant in America with giving back to our community. There's not a week that goes by where we don't do a charity event. I've hundreds of local charities. We're very actively involved with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I
saw the softball
Yeah,
thing.
we have a wiffle ball tournament next week for an actual rescue home for animals, the one where I adopted my daughter from, Aria. Just every week we're doing something for somebody locally. This past Sunday, we gave out 150 book bags of school supplies to kids from West Baltimore.
Really cool.
We might put 1/10 of what we actually do out there. We don't do it for the publicity. We do it because, like my father always told me, the community gave him everything he has. And as a result of that, it gave me everything I had. It allowed me to go, to private schools and to become educated. And it allowed me to become friends with so many people here locally. And it's just been a beautiful ride. And it's my duty, I feel, to give back. And, there's every employee here gives back, whether they're signing up for a Special Olympics event or, registering for our Make-A-Wish bowling event, volunteering at the animal shelter. That's part of your job here. And it's not something that I have to force either, because, we set a pretty good example from the top. I feel like that trickles down, and I think that's why people are so in love with Jimmy's, and they feel like they're part of the brand and the fabric here, because at some point or another, they've probably seen us in the community and seen, sure, the food's good, but, we're taking that next step and the step after that as well. So, if PETA puts us out of business, that's going to be a trickle-down effect to thousands of people that we've been fortunate enough to help.
It really has. I mean, I as I scrolled back through your Twitter line for, years, you can see that.
Yeah, we did a Make-A-Wish event recently with Roman Reigns from WWE, where he came here and he surprised a kid from Annapolis with a trip to WrestleMania. We did our draft party with Make-A-Wish, and we had the same child who called Marlon Humphrey's name the year before that here, eating crabs with him. Look, we've done a lot, and it feels good, and it makes everything worth it. It makes the 18-hour days worth it, and it makes, the constant badgering on Facebook to please come, to this event and that event, and looking for sponsors, and it just makes it all worth it when you see, the magic that a restaurant can bring to a community, because if that door's closed, come Tuesday morning, that's not happening to those kids.
It also makes it rewarding for the employees to come to work, rewarding for the customers to come in the door. In some small way, whether I buy a beer or, having a wedding here, I'm, in some small way contributing back to the local community there. What's your tie-in with Make-A-Wish? You've mentioned that 4 or 5 different times. Is there a special?
Yeah, I just, we work with many, many, many charities. I just feel that it really is, and I don't know if this is incorrect to say, it's the best charity. You see these kids that are just fighting, and they inspire me so much every time we do an event with them to just keep fighting, keep going, and just take that next step. And we sent out a tweet back to Twitter. There was a picture of the way it all started was there was a picture of Roman Reigns wearing a Jimmy's Seafood shirt in the gym. So everybody was, oh, look, Jimmy's, they're wearing your brand. I said, cool. So I told the guys, I said, put something out there. For every like that the tweet gets, we'll donate $1 to Make-A-Wish. Do not tag him, because he has
we need to make payroll this week.
Over 1 million followers. And they're okay, no problem. And it happened. Got like 600, 700. And then sometime that night, he must have got wind of it, and he retweeted it, and it went up to 20-something thousand. I said, oh boy, here we go. So, we stood by our word. We teamed up we reached out to Make-A-Wish Mid-Atlantic, and we raised the money, and we donated it to them. And as a result of that, we were able to get linked in with the WWE, who found a local kid looking for a trip to WrestleMania. That was his wish. and it was great, man. He thought he was coming here for lunch. So, we did
get some authentic Baltimore crab cakes.
Yeah, we rolled out the red carpet for him and we gave him the VIP treatment.
Oh, man,
he thought that
cool.
was it, And then here comes, his favorite wrestler with a huge oversized ticket to WrestleMania. I have pictures over there of it. It's really cool. And it was just amazing. It was in 44 years, I've only been here for 35, but my entire life of working here, that was my favorite day in the history of
How
Jimmy's.
big was your smile walking out the door that day?
My arms were raised. It was just like that. The love in that room yesterday. That day rather. Well, it was just amazing, and his family was just so kind as can be. Veterans, and they were from Severn, so close to you guys. And I saw pictures of him down at WrestleMania. Anytime somebody saw the kid, they would tag Jimmy's in the posts.
That's cool.
Like, because it went pretty viral.
That's
so
awesome.
they go, look, it's Trip. So they tagged Jimmy's, and his smile, and it was awesome. And then I know Roman met up with him down there as well, so he got a second visit.
That's neat. Well, you're doing something with Make-A-Wish again right now.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk to John over there. Everybody wants to know who's behind the Jimmy's Twitter account. So
and I can verify that's not you because you haven't tweeted a damn thing since you've been here. So.
We're going to do the reveal through Make-A-Wish. It's going to be tied in. We'll raise a lot of money. If people want to know the person/persons behind the account, they'll have to pony up for it and donate to our favorite charity.
That's what Carly Simon did with You're So Vain, that they auctioned off who the song was about.
Yeah. That's when is the reveal, do you know?
I've talked John over there and Megan. We work with them real well, so we'll come up with a number and we'll come up with a website they'll have to create, and people can start donating. Got to strike while the iron's hot.
And then what? Everybody will get a DM or something like that with a picture of the team with the names or something. We'll do it. Just a big public thing.
We'll do it in a funny fashion, I'm sure.
Well, it's. I had to laugh this morning. You gave
really good
BAL. Hold no punches throughout the years, and it's
so John's holding an image of the newscast this morning that was on your Twitter account, and it's a screen cap of them reporting on the story.
And Jimmy says, "You'd think a local news station knows what a Maryland blue crab looks like. Google Images is hard
because they're like Dungeness crab."
Yeah,
WBAL.
I actually woke up to that, and so whose idea was this? And they're like, "Well, you didn't say no." I said I was sleeping.
But they were right. You didn't say no. By the way, this is every social media manager's dream, anyone who's in marketing, where they're just given carte blanche to just say, like, you don't have to run anything by going, is this okay? We don't want to hurt or offend anyone. You're just like, go. Just do it.
We have guidelines.
Yeah.
Just don't cuss.
You go up to the line.
And I told them sprint to the line, but don't cross it.
Well, you came close. There was one, and we can cuss on here because that's there was somebody that said basically, you guys are. I don't remember the exact wording. Basically, you're whatever, get fucked. And your response was, you should do those last two words. There was that line. It was right there.
Probably help you calm down a little bit.
But it's great when you give it back. I mean, there's some brands that will do it really well. Taco Bell does it pretty well. Wendy's, as far as the fast food goes. And you guys have really taken Twitter by storm here in the city. Obviously, you've had a name before. As I look around here,
look at the pictures here.
Pictures are.
You got 50 feet of just everyone you could ever imagine just standing here posing. There's Tom Hanks over there.
RG3 was just here the other day.
Yeah, great guy. He's big dude. Bigger in person, yeah. It looks small and skinny on TV, but in person, he's a big dude.
The picture on your Twitter feed was interesting because I didn't know whether it was like a really, really tiny girl with him or whether he was that big.
No, he's a big dude, and he was very happy that day. It was, I guess, when he found out he made the team, he was smiling ear to ear. He's a really nice guy. He's been here a few times now, but always treated everybody with a lot of respect. I'm pulling for the guy personally because anytime somebody bounces back. You got my respect.
I'm a Redskins fan, so I was a big fan of his.
I mean, how many times have we seen athletes and anybody in the public eye in general just get knocked down with a peg and never come back? For him to battle through it, just a testament to his character.
Well, I'll tell you, this is phenomenal. You're going to be at the Maryland Seafood Festival, which is coming up this weekend.
Yep. Yeah, we do. We enjoy that one a lot, actually. I like traveling. I like to get further out of the immediate vicinity.
What are your restaurants when you get out of town? Where are your go-to places?
Gosh,
or you just bring food with you from here?
I'm sure my girlfriend's going to listen to this at some point, but I'm a big P.F. Chang's guy, man. I love P.F. Chang's, man. It's like, and my best friend from Arizona, he's always making fun of me. Every time we're at P.F. Chang's or Cheesecake Factory, I will send him a picture. He's like, you own a restaurant, right? And you eat at these chains like it's your job. Yeah, you know, just I'm a routine guy. I like doing the same thing all the time, and you know, I love P.F. Chang's. I think the food's great. I don't care if it's a chain, and I think Cheesecake Factory's great. But you know, in my free time, I do frequent Annapolis a lot. They have, you know, a plethora of great options there.
Yeah, we got some great restaurants down there. We always talk about that. We talk about Annapolis is small. It's like the size of this bar. And we always said, you know, what restaurants, like we know the restaurants that we would go to, drive to Baltimore. This, of course, being top of the list. And then going to D.C., what restaurants would you drive to there? And we said, Annapolis, for as small as we are, do we have any? We said there's probably 2 or 3 that and you can't, the view can't count. You can't say Chart House because
that's a chain.
That's cheating, you know.
Yeah. What's the Fox place?
Sly Fox?
Yeah.
They
have really good pizza.
Yeah, that's really good.
I go there. And then my buddy's a sous chef right across the street.
They had a restaurant.
Preserve?
The Fox Brothers had a restaurant.
Preserve, yeah. So my buddy Brian's a sous chef there. So we go there often as well.
We get that mix. I mean, downtown is so small that we got those mix of like the tourist restaurants that no locals would go to, but they're interspersed with
it's a sushi
really
place,
great
Tsunami.
restaurants. Yeah.
Yeah, I go there a lot. Yeah, they have great places there.
He's our mayor now.
He's our mayor, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had a bad meal in Annapolis. Chart House as well. I've been there, and I enjoy the drive. I enjoy the scenery and the view, and I enjoy, you know, seeing the midshipmen walk around. And it's a cool spot, you know. Hopefully, like I said, I'll be moving there soon. Hopefully, and I can't say enough good things about Annapolis.
Now, what about the other crab houses? You go to any ones, or you just like pretty much?
There are other crab houses in Maryland.
So yeah, I've actually never eaten a crab anywhere but here in my life.
Now, here's a funny thing. So I grew up in Montgomery County with Bethesda Crab House, which was there, and that was iconic in Bethesda. And they were renowned not just for the crabs, but for their caustic attitudes. So they were just rude with everybody. And it was right in 95. Was it 95 where you had the Million Man Walk?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a group of American women who came in, and they moved them from one table to the other because they were crowded, and the women got upset, and they sued for racial discrimination. And their defense in court was, we don't discriminate. We weren't rude to them because they were black, but we're rude to everybody because that's what we hate people. But I mean, there were.
I've just grew up on the taste here, so I'm scared to, you know, have a different blend of seasoning somewhere else. And, you know, now with social media, I don't want somebody like snapping a picture of me somewhere else. Hey, look, Jimmy's, it's his crabs here. So I kind of, you know, just keep it here, and, you know, I cook on myself, and that's all I need.
I feel gouged when I go to like Ocean City or somewhere like that because we're big crab people, and I just feel like, you know, I'm paying $130 for jumbos, and they're just number one.
I'm going to reserve comment on that one.
Yeah, it's.
Hey, I'll tell you what, John, give us the rundown on the history of Jimmy's Famous Seafood here. I mean, I know we said it was your father started it. What's the whole story? I mean, has the recipe changed over the years?
No, we've kept everything the same from the beginning. That's the constant. As the food's got to stay the same, the quality's got to stay the same. And my brothers, you know, honored my father's traditions.
How many brothers are there?
There's 3 of us. The middle brother, he lives in Florida now. He started a family down there, and he's got 2 sons, and he lives there with his wife. So it's me and Tony here, and you know, he's kept all the same recipes, no matter what the rise in cost means. So, you know, if it means you're only going to make 50 cents on a crab cake, but you have to keep the recipe, you know, you got to keep the recipe the same. 1974, like you said, my father opened the place. It was nowhere near as big as it is now physically. It was a bar, carry out, and they had an outdoor garden at the time, which is no longer here. And then just as he got busier and busier, he kept growing and growing. And when we were of age, we started working as well. And, you know, now we have the dining room, 2 bars, 2 catering halls to carry out. We have a meal prep service. We ship our crab cakes all over the country, and we're just always looking to take that next step. You know, we're young, we're hungry, and we love working.
How many
crab cakes do you put out in a year? Do you know?
Oh gosh, my brother would know that number, but you know, it's definitely hundreds of thousands. Yeah.
With 3 brothers, you guys bang heads a lot?
No, we get along real well. I think we got into like one fight when we were kids, and it's vivid in our minds because that was like the only time it happened. But you know, we're very close in age,
and the pecking order was all established at that point.
Yeah, you know, we all know what we're good at and what we're not good at. We don't step on each other's toes. We don't fight.
Is your dad still around?
No, he passed away in 2003, actually. So it's been 15 years since we've been at the helm.
So you guys were young when you took over.
Yeah, I was 20.
Nick
was 19, and Tony was 16 or 17 at the time. So we were kids, man. We thought we knew everything, but in fact we knew nothing.
So in 2003, there was a 16-year-old, a 19-year-old, and a 20-year-old running this place.
Yeah, it's in hindsight.
You couldn't even drink in your own place
legally. But yeah, it was unexpected, so we weren't ready for it. And there were dark days for sure, and every day is still a learning lesson. But those days were certainly big time lessons, and we survived. We made it. So
how'd you come through the recession? I know how you ended up, but was it like a lot of sleepless nights?
Yeah, man, there was some nightmares. There was BG trucks outside and trying to shut the power off, and bills beyond my eyesight. There was negative money in the bank account.
Yeah, we both know a lot of restaurateurs and business owners, and both in business, and just those between 2008 and probably 2015, it was just terrifying.
Yeah, I didn't know if this would be my end game. Always, you always think that it's going to be successful one day, but you just keep plugging away and plugging away. They say the definition of insanity is when you do the same thing every day and expect a different result. But I guess we're the exception to that rule because we just showed up to work every day, and at some point it broke through, and caught on. And
I have a friend of mine. He's Sicilian, and I went to college with him. And he was raised in the restaurant industry. His father owned several restaurants, and he owned his first restaurant right out of college. And it's the sort of thing that he's in a restaurant like 5 years. He doesn't have a life. He's there 20 hours a day, and he's just sweating blood and everything. And then finally, he sells it. And I'll call him like, how you doing? He goes, life is great. I'm going to Aruba. This is fantastic. This is what I should have done a long time ago. And like 6 months later, I'll be like, so what are you up to? He's like, I'm buying another restaurant.
It happens every time. He goes, every time. Everybody that I've seen sell their place gets right back into it.
He can't.
It's in your blood.
He said, I can't not do this. And he goes, the happiest day is the same as a boat. The happiest day is when I buy my restaurant and when I sell my restaurant. And he goes, but then I can't not do it. It's.
How long has your oldest employee been here?
I just had this conversation yesterday. He's been with me 20 years. 20 years.
That sounded ominous. We had this yesterday. You've been with me 20 years.
20 years. Time. Yeah, we did the math. 20 years. We've had multiple employees that have been here at least a decade. I always say if you make it through the first year, you're here for life because now you're part of the family. Now you can't leave. It's like Goodfellas, you're locked in. Right. You're one of us now. And it's a big family. Everybody gets along real well. It's a beautiful place.
I said that your hostess because I came to the wrong place earlier before, and John texted me, he goes, I'm in the other bar. So your hostess whisked me through the kitchen. I'm like, this is right out of Goodfellas, I should be high-fiving guys as they go through.
We like to think of this place a little bit as a throwback, It's that's how it was in the 80s and 90s, and that's how we try to keep it.
But you know what? And I will tell you this. There was a restaurant, what was it called? Northwoods, that was in West Annapolis, and it was a revered restaurant. And when I went in, though, I was like, this is really kind of tired. I mean, the food was great, but it was something like they should have redone it years ago. You come in here, and this has a classic look while looking contemporary at the same time, as ridiculous as that sounds.
It's a fine line. Like, you don't want to get outdated at the same time.
Exactly, right? So
you want to keep that old school feel.
Right, it's got that feel, but it doesn't feel like my grandparents' place. It looks sharp. I really like this. The front bar is open and airy and sunny. And then where we are right now, it's quieter, so we're in the back, and it's darker. You got a piano here in the corner.
Banquet halls and the dining room.
Yeah, every part of the restaurant's got its own feel. I always compare this place to a Vegas casino, because you can go to a casino in Vegas and get 7 different experiences based on which entrance you go in. But same thing here. If you want, upbeat and sports bar, you go over there. If you want to relax, have a glass of wine and a crab cake, come over here. If you want to bring 20 guests in for a crab feast for your company, go upstairs, and so on and so on. But there's something for everybody. There's plenty of parking, as you guys saw.
But I'm telling you, if the people listen from Annapolis, I got up here in less than 30 minutes. Came up. I was going like a bat out of hell, but I came up 97 through the Harbor Tunnel.
If you don't hit traffic, it's right off the Harbor Tunnel,
right outside the Harbor Tunnel.
Yeah, it's like 2 lights and you're there.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna bring my wife up here and kids, and then when I do, you got to come and slap me on the back, big shot and everything, and then
sure, man.
Yeah, you got to make me look good and
get you some merch.
Do you stand up for your steaks as good as you do your crab cakes?
That's so funny. My brother pounds his chest when it comes to the steaks. He'll put our steaks up against anybody else's, and I obviously agree, but yeah, we take a lot of pride in our steaks.
Freaks in restaurants.
Then I'm up here.
What's the steakhouse in Annapolis?
Lunas.
Yeah, that's Greek owned, and
it's my father. My father lives in Manhattan, and he's a big steakhouse guy. He went to what was the one they just shut down in Manhattan? Ben Benson's, and he said Lunas is his favorite restaurant in the world.
There's a steakhouse up the street from them that I won't name, and I'm sure they hurt them pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
Once you have that Greek family pride, man, it's like you just want to put the best product out there.
And that started off as a diner. That started off as just I know a lot of the kids. Yeah, I know a lot of the kids who grew up who were my age, and I'm in my late 40s, and they said, yeah, when we grew up, it was just a diner. You'd go in, and then all of a sudden they went upscale.
Yeah, that place, I like the feel in there. It's here.
Phenomenal.
It's very old school.
And the employees who've been there, they've been there for 20 years. We've been going there for 20 years, and it's the same employees.
Some good times in there, for sure.
Yeah, that's fantastic. When you move down to Annapolis, that's going to be your go-to place.
My mom's adamantly against me moving to Annapolis. Like, it's the same as where I live now. I'm just going south instead of north. Relax.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny, for Annapolis, we say it's the heart of crab country. There's very few crab houses. Yeah. Very few. We got
no. I don't know. I've been searching the area pretty well.
No, it's
there's really none in the actual city.
No,
well,
you got Mike's, which is on Riva, and Cantlers, which is kind of touristy.
Yeah, Mike's and Cantlers, which are Riva there. Mike's
Point.
North, the Point.
But in downtown Annapolis, you have Buddies. But in all due respect, that's a tourist place. You know, the locals don't go there. And we got Pit Boys now. They had $30 all you could eat the other night, but I don't know. I haven't checked them out yet.
Well, I'll tell you what. I want to take up any more of your time, but you guys are absolutely killing this Twitter thing. If anybody is not following, you need to follow Jimmy's Seafood at Twitter. #GetFamous.
They got me back on for brief temporarily.
And as Tim said, this is just a short drive up the road from Annapolis, or actually probably down from Perry Hall or anywhere else up Aberdeen, just down, just outside the Baltimore Harbor Tunnel, and it's Hollibird Avenue. It's about a mile off of 895, if that. Great place. I'm looking forward to coming back and getting a steak and trying that out.
And we'll be at the Seafood Festival.
Yep, and this weekend at Sandy Point State Park.
Are you going to bring the sass and bring the snark with you to the Seafood Festival, or just for crab?
I gotta see who's working. I'll look on the schedule, but I'll send somebody witty for sure.
John Minadakis, thank you very much for your time today. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thanks for fighting a good fight.
Keep it up.
Keep it up, man. We're running on fumes. I got this energy drink here, but
I think you're winning. That's my vote.
Yeah.
All right, John. Well, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And there you have it. There's a guy who's at war with PETA, and he's having a good time while doing it. And frankly, I like to listen to all sides of an argument and try and be impartial, but I love my crabs, so shut up, PETA. Although I did kind of agree with the SeaWorld stuff a little bit. I didn't want to kind of point that out because that was a little over the line. But as far as attacking local crab houses and a fragile industry like that, I'm firmly on John Minadakis' side, as is, I think, everyone else. So that was a lot of fun, so I hope you enjoyed it. In the meantime, so you don't want to miss out on any more of our podcasts, you want to subscribe to our podcast on your podcast player of choice. Now, I think we say this a lot, and we never explain what that means. So a lot of us watch us on YouTube, or they click the play on our Facebook, or they go to our website at themarylandcrabs.com, and all things are great. But you have to make up your mind to do that, and sometimes in a busy world, you're going to forget how to do that. So we want to make sure you don't miss any of our episodes. So what you do is that if you have a podcast listener on your phone, as they call them. So that could be Apple Podcasts or Google Play. So I use Downcast. There's a bunch of them. But when you go to the podcast and you search for them, the little box above the name will say subscribe. When you click on that box, that means that whenever a new episode is out, it'll be delivered automatically to your phone or to your iPad or whatever your device of choice is. And you can still listen to us on Alexa and Google Play. That's another great place to hear us. But you can find us on the web. We're at themarylandcrabs.com. You can email us at info@themarylandcrabs.com. We have a group and we have a page on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Stitcher. We're on every possible outlet that John could get us onto after I gave him the idea to do it and made him do all the work. And speaking of John, he's got a great podcast every weekday morning, which is called Annapolis Daily Briefing. You want to subscribe to that, although I listen to it on my Alexa because his podcast is about 8 minutes, which is exactly the amount of time it takes me to brush my teeth and get dressed and get out the door. It gives you all the news you need for the day. It's got the weather. Sometimes he rants. Sometimes he has a guest rant. It's a great podcast, and it actually is one of my favorites. I listen to it every day. Whew. So that's that. All right, folks, so we have some crab cakes coming up, and again, so if you subscribe to us, they'll be delivered to you automatically. But in the meantime, you're listening to Maryland Crabs, and thanks for joining us. Now go steam your crabs.
This has been the Maryland Crabs Podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them in all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home.